All right. I believe we are live. Welcome, everybody. Let me go ahead and post a tweet that we are live.
I'm on standby so I can smash retweet, Coach.
All right. I'm on there. I'm on. I just tweeted it out.
I'm on standby so I can smash.
Oh, no. Now it's feeding back. All right. I hope nobody is... let me know in the chat if there's any kind of feedback or anything, because this is the first time I'm using StreamYard in a long time. So last week was OBS, but Bruce couldn't see anything. We're going to try another platform. We'll go till we find something. But I am joined by the illustrious Kyle Krabs. Kyle, welcome back. Go and introduce yourself to the audience in case they're not familiar with your work.
Sure. It's always a pleasure to talk a little ball with you, Coach. First and foremost, I'm on social media. I'm at Grinding the Tape. I'm one of the co-founders of Draft Network. I'm the host of Locked On Dolphins, lifelong Miami Dolphins fan. Really enjoy kind of digging into the nuance of the game and try my best to just provide the insights that I can afford to Miami and all 32 teams across the league and college football scope, this nice kind of marriage between college and pro ball, and excited to kind of dig into what the Dolphins were able to do on Sunday in week 3.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for joining me. I really enjoyed having you on last year. And I've said this a lot over the years, but I've largely been agnostic when it comes to NFL football, because when I coached high school football in California, half our games were on Saturdays, and we would go like long week, short week, long week, short week. And Sundays were always, no matter what, was our busiest day. Because if we played on a Friday, our opponents didn't play usually until Saturday. And so we would still get the tape on Sunday or late Saturday. And being in California, it's very hard to get Dolphin games unless you have direct TV. And I lived in a lot of places I couldn't have direct TV. So I kept my eye on them, but I kind of fell out of love. Right. And because when you do this for a living and you're coaching, the last thing you want to do when you come home is watch more football. Right. So, and then they were terrible. So it wasn't like when my season was over, their season was over. I mean, there was a year where we played like the week before Christmas, and I think their season finished like 2 weeks after. So there was no time to even like really
get back into it,
what they were doing. Yeah. So anyway, I'm very excited. I did grow up a Dolphins fan. When I was growing up here in Orlando, it was Dolphins or Bucks, and no one liked the Bucks. Nobody. So that was kind of the thing you did. You had Dan Marino or whoever the Bucks had. There was no Jaguars. Now I'm doing this blurred screen thing because we're getting ready for the hurricane. If you guys don't know, there's a giant Category 3 hurricane coming literally like right from my house. So my place is more of a disaster than it usually is. So I tried to blur the background, but I'm like going out of focus. It's very strange. Anyway, enough about that horse shit. All right, it's 3-0. Are the Dolphins going to the Super Bowl?
Slow down. I'll settle for a playoff win.
I am totally kidding, by the way.
I would love a playoff win. And anything beyond that for me is gravy based on, I think this playoff win drought for Miami Dolphins is old enough to drink at this point. I believe 2000 was the last time they won a playoff game. So,
and that was the 62-pointer against the Jaguars, right? Or was it
no? Well, that was Dan Marino's last game for the 99 season. The following year with Jay Fiedler, they beat the Colts. Lamar Smith rushed for over 200 yards in overtime against the Colts. And then I believe they got blanked 21-0 or 24-0 against the Raiders in the divisional round in 2001.
Oh, that was the game.
Yeah, it's been a minute since they've had any success in the postseason. It's been all one and dones since then. So I'd be more than happy. 3-0 is obviously a great start. And you looked at the schedule and you say, hey, if they're 2-2 through the first 4, you feel really good about what they've been able to accomplish before the season started. And then the manners in which they've won the games, where there's been some offensive output, there's been some defensive output, which we'll go over today, has been really cool to kind of see a chameleon team that's kind of taken to whatever game script they've been handed through the first 3 weeks.
Absolutely. And guys, last time I did all fancy stats, I would have loved to again, but I've been pretty busy. This hurricane is supposed to be really bad. And it's actually supposed to start while we're on air. So I'm looking out this window, although it's pitch black outside. The drizzling is supposed to start within the hour. So if I seem a little absent-minded at times, or if I pause and you see this freaked out look on my face, I don't think it's going to hit that bad here this early. But the last 2 days. I haven't been through one. God, it was back when I was in college. Was probably the last one I really went through.
In your undergraduate. You were at University of Miami for undergraduate, right?
Yeah. So I had a good setup because if like there was one hurricane that hit down there and I came up here. And then there was one that was here and I went down there. But 2004, we had Charlie, which went right over my house. We had a tree fall in our house. But the good news is I live in one of those houses that were like, it's almost like it's solid block. It's concrete.
Right.
So I'm worried about the roof because it's a little old, but like the house ain't, I mean, knock on wood, but if the house goes, then I'm going to be
we got bigger problems. We got bigger problems if the house goes, right?
So, and shout out to the guy who, I can't remember because I was eating, somebody texted me and was like, hey man, or hit me up in the DMs, a coaching friend, Aaron, texted me or DM'd me and was like, hey man, I went through a hurricane 2 years ago and my neighbor died. I would never do it again. You should leave. I'm like, dude, like, don't tell me this, right? It's too late to really go anywhere now anyway.
Wait until it's over and be like, hey, next time maybe leave.
Yeah. Well, we haven't had any evacuation notice. And my thing is like, I'm trying to be respectful of other people. I know that there's a lot of people that, and I know you guys don't want to hear about this, but there's a lot of people that they were like, you have to go. And so I want to let those people get out.
Right.
Anyway, enough bullshit. So you're feeling good. You want that playoff win. I noticed some differences this year from last year on the defense. Did you notice anything overall in the first 3 games that stood out to you?
I think one of the biggest things that stood out to me defensively for Miami over the first 3 games is they're certainly playing. They're respecting the absence of Byron Jones at corner, and Byron Jones is on the PUP. So I think it's been a little bit less of the true man cover one across the board. I think you've seen some more zone coverage shells that they've been able to implement. And one of the things that's impressed me, especially transposed to the first half of last year, is the landmarks that they're hitting in their zone coverages is much more disciplined. It's a much better spacing of the field. I think there's a much greater variety and menu that they have at their disposal defensively to kind of change the picture, because they do so much of that presentation of those zero pressures and that 5-0 package at the line of scrimmage, where they get the guys walked up and the backers are mugged up, and you're kind of dictating protection schemes. And then when they roll out, I think they're much, much better spacing the field as far as what they're able to do to successfully change the picture and not just say, hey, we're going to show pressure and then drop out, but our guys aren't where they're supposed to be.
100%. I don't know what's going on. I couldn't unmute myself. Yeah, I noticed a lot more variety. I noticed a lot more, and I guess a lot of it may be that the teams that they really went after last year, like they went after Lamar. You know, the Ravens didn't have any weapons like Stephon Diggs. Their backs, I mean, yes, can the Ravens back catch the ball out of the backfield? Sure, but I don't think as good as the Bills backs. The worry problems when you play cover zero, and we talked about this at length last year with that 7th guy that really changes everything. Because when people look at the Dolphins with their pressure package, they go, well, why don't you do this versus cover zero? Why don't you do that? But all of that changes. And again, if you want to see what they did last year, which has still been my favorite game to break down, and it wasn't because it was the Dolphins, it was just the absolute carnage that was happening. You know, you're trying to run power read, but there's 2 guys off the edge. That's way different than 1 guy off the edge. And so you have a guy, you can block everyone down, and now you have a guy inside the guard and a guy outside the guard. And so all those speed option, you have a guy for the Q and the pitch right now. There's a lot of things that happen. And the Bills actually had some great answers. Now, I haven't studied everybody's offense versus the Dolphins, but they had like street ball answers, like start the back on one side and run them across and like try to throw it over somebody's head, like shit that Josh Allen can do. Stuff that sounds easy, but like when you have a 285-pound trained killer running at you, the idea of just float the ball over his head is a lot more difficult. So there's that. All right, so let's get into film. I picked 64 plays out of the 93. I'm going to go faster than normal.
The Bills really did you a favor, too. It ran 90 plays for you to choose from as well.
Yeah, I tweeted out right after the game. I'm like, I don't care. I'm doing this game. I'm doing it. We're gonna try this. So we're gonna test out something else too. We're gonna test out. I got the fancy because you know me, I'm Mr. Fancy. As you can tell by my beard.
Coach Bougie.
Coach Bougie. I got like the super awesome, I don't know what's called, StreamYard package with music. And I like Twitch. Like I don't watch Twitch streams, but I like music and I like the idea of having music just subtly underneath us.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna try it. If it sucks,
Let's
then
do it.
you know, will you guys tell me it sucks and we'll get the hell out of it. But we're gonna try it. I'm gonna give this a little underneath here. And I'm gonna try and also switch over. I think there's brands or some shit I gotta do. So I'm gonna try and switch over here, try to make this as seamless as possible. Here we go. Oh god, that didn't do it. Now, hold on, let me go back. Let me get a clean transition here. I'm gonna go, Kyle, keep your fingers crossed for me. Bam! There we go. Do we like that with the cameras on this side, or do we want just full screen, get us out of here? You guys tell me. I don't care.
Yeah, if you got anybody with feedback in the mentions, I'd love
you
to
guys,
hear from them.
It's all for you guys. I don't give a shit. You don't want to see my face. You do want to see my face. I don't care, but we're going to roll. The music's too loud. I got it low. We got daydreaming, feeding the ducks. I'm really excited about that. I don't know what the hell that is, but we're going to do it.
It's, it's serene so that, whatever weather's coming your way, nice and relaxed. Nice and relaxed.
All right. So first play, the Dolphins are in what they call chargers, which means double A-gap linebackers. A lot of people have a lot of different meaning there. I hope this is smooth. The problem with StreamYard before is it wasn't smooth, but I have a super high-powered PC, so that's hopefully going to make this better. All right. So the Bills, this is an old Steve Spurrier. So a little history lesson to start off. Okay. Spurrier, oh, by the way, shout out, this is not a paid advertisement. Alani energy drinks. I don't want to switch back.
Good.
I just tried one. Holy shit, they're good. I'm sipping on that right now. I've got a mimosa, which I'm gonna actually start heavily drinking here if we lose power. A real mimosa. But anyway, Spurrier, when he was at Florida, he played. Oh God, was it Woody Woodenhofer? It's the guy that was like the DC or the DB coach for the Steelers when they won the Super Bowls. And they would check cover 0 to empty. And so what he did was he would line up an empty. This is like 1994 or whatever. Line up an empty. Get them to check 0 and then fast motion down. And then he'd have 6 for 6 with a guy standing here. There was no green dogging tight ends at that point or any of that. So the Bills try something similar. They get them into a 0 check. They run an interesting stunt. They hit him for a big play on the first play. Okay, so let's go to the end zone. You can see what they try to do. So they try to come down here and loop him around. So right here with 6 threats, the Bills are going to have to slide. And so this is where you have to really study the tape. And there's different ways you can do this. And it changes every week. That's the cat and mouse game in the NFL, right? You can full slide one way and let one of these edge guys go. Because it's not so much who's the most dangerous, because they drop these guys out. This guy might be really dangerous, right? But if he drops out 50% of the time and this guy rushes 90% of the time, even though he's a better rusher and he's closer to the quarterback, you might take your chance here. I mean, I wouldn't do it in the A gap. And this is the first thing I noticed this year that was immediately different. Last year, they did what they call Bengals. So they'd have, and these are X's on a chalkboard. So I'm going to draw lineman. X means backer or DB. Okay, so lineman. And these could be outside backer too. So L means DN, D tackle, outside backer, all interchangeable parts. But they put their big guys in 1s and 3s and often double 1s. Rarely saw that this game. It was mostly double 3s, and then they would get an odd front. What that tells me is they like these guys as pass rushers more.
Well, and coach, the big personnel move that they made is they waived Adam Butler in preseason, and Adam Butler was a free agent signing from New England who had come over to play with Brian Flores in 2021. and they cut him with an injury waiver at the start of the preseason this year. And it opened up these reps to have Christian Wilkins and Zach Sealer, who are your two down linemen here, who are both very, very good as far as penetration type players. And Butler was good in the sub package stuff, but it was more so because he understood the stunts. He understood the responsibilities. He understood how to manufacture the lanes for other guys as compared to physically winning them himself.
Yeah, I mean, that was the first thing that stood out to me right off the bat was they almost ran none of the Bengals looks. And so now you're saying, okay, where are my threats? You never want, and this is the catch-22. You never want to let an A-gap guy go, right? So I'm kind of talking against what I originally said. And I'm going to go longer on this play because this sets up the whole game, right? And a lot of it's cat and mouse. So the Bills are going to come out and you don't know what they're going to do, right? So you kind of present all these threats, see how they handle it. And then you have a menu of calls to go off of from there. So it becomes less of a, let's just call this and see what happens. It's a very wing T-ish style of football where it's if then. It's not, I'm going to call stunt A, then I'm going to call B, and I'm going to call C, and we'll see what happens. Because they can do it so many different ways, you kind of have to like feel it out and have it packaged enough that's expansive to take advantage of it. Now at the high school level, I teeter back and forth here because I've got half NFL guys, half coaches or fans, coaches, but then half like fans. So obviously at the high school level, you carry less in your package. So you kind of have to guess ahead of time what they're going to do. And this is the problem when you do exotic looks like this. If other teams aren't doing it, you're spending your first quarter trying to figure out what they're going to do.
Right.
And that's where some of this stuff can be wasteful. And I've talked about this ad nauseum. I don't want to get back into it, but sometimes you show like this, you think they're going to block one up and you bring a guy off the edge and then they bail out and block the guy in the edge. And these guys would have come free and you didn't bring them. So yeah. So let's see how the Bills, and we got a question in the chat, by the way, call side safety. I would say that's like saying the guy to the strength, because you don't want to say strong and weak with pass, because to me, there's a strong side for the run and there's a strong side for the pass. And they're sometimes different. There's 4 formations that they're pronounced and they're very, very different. So you have to have a term. You can't just say strong and weak. So some people will say closed and open for the tight end strength and then strong and weak for pass. We said strong and weak for run and then read side and away side for pass. But a lot of different people align their safeties a lot. Some play left and rights. College is more field and boundary. The NFL didn't really have field and boundary. The Bills lined up one of their guys to the tight end and one of the guys away. So there's different ways you can do it. But call side means the strength. Now, what the strength is, it depends on who you're saying. When I talk about strength for the 5 DBs, I'm talking about passing strength. If I say DBs and I want to express that it's to the tight end, I'll say the safety to the tight end. I hope that cleans that up. All right, let's go back. So they actually get both. They go full slide, bring the guy across, because they know one of these guys is going to drop, maybe both. They got everybody blocked, but the Dolphins are ready for this. And I think this is a read. I think he's told you're going to go. You go and you drop, but if you get full slide, there's a seam, right? Because he's got to block down. He's got to come across. There's your seam right between this guy and this guy coming across right there. See it? They're trying to exchange this. So, and it's hard because they go from full slide, an aggressive slide, to then trying to switch stunts off. That is not easy. And you just got to give him enough time to do that. So you can see the chess match is starting on the first play. I need to go to broadcast school and get a voice like yours.
Coach, let me ask you a question. Is that from your perspective, how often is that, kind of a dual call with both of those linebackers and it's dictated on what way the center steps as compared to
just go?
Just go.
With these guys, I think it's all red. I think, okay, this is not scientific. This is just gut. But I think what happens is if one of these guys is going and there's a DB, it may be pre-decided, could not be. But if both of them are going and nothing else is happening, I think it's being read.
Yeah.
That's my gut, though. All right, next play. So the Bills get 2 chunk plays off the bat. They're bringing a boundary side fire zone. So you're wrapping the safety off the edge. A nice little call. Bills pick it up. They've got max protection, 7 in protection. Full slide with the backs off one edge. They pick it up. Josh steps up, does the little, just dink it over the guy's head, coach. Or Josh. And this is what I mean. Like, these guys are better in catching the ball and getting out of there in scat backs. And you love these type of guys for blitzes. Because in the NFL, very few guys, big guys, are going to be able to block ends by themselves. If really no one. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, I can't tell you the number of times throughout the course of this game that I identify where their backs do such a great job in getting skinny and getting through the A level of the defense. And then just like those automatic checkdowns, like you're talking about, where it's like, oh yeah, just a casual, just little touch pass up over top of his head when you climb the pocket and you have that dump down at your disposal. And this defense stresses, I mean, their pressure or their game plan was, we're going to put you in high pressure situations for 60 minutes and dare you to do it consistently. And they do it better than anybody else that the Dolphins played last year, and studying all the games that they played last year and the 2 early games when they came in pressure looks. Credit to the Bills and their backs for what they are able to do. And 26 is a really nice player in this regard for what he's able to do to kind of make himself available, but make sure he's getting through the chaos and the traffic that the Dolphins are bringing when they're bringing all these bodies through their gaps.
100%. And you can tell there's things that I often say when I'm on this, that I say, hey, look, there's things I don't know unless I'm in that room. There's one thing that's very clear that you could tell off the film. The use of personnel groups. They were trying to keep the Dolphins out of that mug shit because it sucks.
Mm-hmm.
And there's only a few things you can do. And if you use those ideas up, they're going to have a counterpunch. That little slip play or whatever, that works one time. You know what I mean? And so to beat this sort of thing, you almost have to have a steady diet of one play, which in the NFL, that's how offenses win. I mean, McVay versus... They got tuned up by the Bills and they came back and they ran 18 as a fullback against the Falcons and had a whole thing out of that.
Right.
You have no way to know that's coming, right? But then you have to build plays off of that, because if you use the same plays, they're gonna be tuned in. Here's just double-edged fire zone. So Kenny Dorsey, who's obviously close to my heart, being a Miami grad, they try to run some toss with 2 lead blockers. And it gets snuffed out for a 2-yard loss. And they're probably on the opening script, but they're like, all right, well, that wasn't great. Let's get in 21 personnel. So they're in 21 here. They got the fullback as a wing. They're canning. There's something he didn't like. He changed the play. But you're going to see this a lot. They're trying to keep, because they know the Dolphins aren't going to do this type of stuff if you give them 21 and 22 and 12 personnel. They just don't blitz as much. They do, but not on 1st and 10. So now they're varying up their protection. So now they line up in a formation where there's 8 blockers, potential blockers, and they release 5. So it's interesting. They're getting in condensed sets. So I'm noticing there's 4 plays in. They're getting in condensed sets. Not condensed, but wrong turn of phrase. Bigger personnel groups. And getting 5 out, but then they're getting in smaller personnel groups, and they're motioning guys back inside. So they're trying to keep them off balance just in the first 4 plays.
And I would say from a personnel perspective here, Coach, 41 has made a lot of sneaky plays for Buffalo early on this season. Gilliam, he's a nice player. And when you come out in these 21 and 22 personnel groupings and you're guaranteeing that Miami is going to keep 52, Elandon Roberts, the inside backer with the orange gloves on right here. He's a player that historically has really struggled in space, and he's much more of kind of the downhill thud type linebacker that likes to get downhill against the run and fill between the tackles. And I think this play is a great illustration of, we're going to trust kind of our fullback tight end hybrid type player to win running routes into his area of the field.
Right. Absolutely. And now I'm going to try to do a better job of giving personnel down and distance before the snap. I'm sorry. Let's see here. So we've got 11 personnel, 2nd and 2 from the 8. So you're going to see now. So the first play, they motion a guy back in the backfield and tried to block it full slide. So the second play, they throw a screen here. They're trying to talk the Finns out of doing this earlier. But the thing about these guys and what makes them elite is when you run this type of defense, and this is where you got to put your time into something, right? We talked a lot about draft capital last year when like how to draft certain players to fit this or free agents that you want or whatever. Let's talk scheme now. So if you're a spot drop zone team to give you relief on all the zero stuff, then you can spend all your time working in these man concepts. Here's the other thing. You can do this on air. So if the NFLPA restricts a lot of contact and things. I think that just spitballing here. That's why I think the rules of the game have changed. So, physical zone coverage is not what it used to be. But also, I can go in a basketball gym in high school or in a facility in the pros, and I can work these little combos, block and screen, or bubble, or and goes and switch this and spend all my time because my zone coverages are so easy. I can spend all my time on all these different things that will help me in man coverage when I get pick plays and switch routes and all that stuff. So here's a screen. Also, these are professionals. If my high school kid was looking at the quarterback and man, I would scream. Okay, these are professional athletes. He gets a ball key, sees him going out, switch. He's now going to engage for the and go from 6. He now finishes in here. You want to condense the space. There's no blockers for him. To defeat this play, all you got to do is this guy has to get in between that guy and that guy.
Let's get up.
He gets in the seam, and if he kicks him out, if you're not condensing the space, and I hate two guys pressed like this at the levels that I coached, but for this type of shit, there's nothing better because he has to flatten out. If this guy is off here, or this guy's off rather, he can look like he's going down the field. Oh shit. And now this guy's kicked me out and it's a touchdown. So this is where playing press cover 0 can be better than zone drop 3, which I know doesn't sound like, wait, when you want to play zone drop 3 versus screens, right? But no, like this is where, because you rep this a bunch. Now, if you just try to go out and do this shit without like a lot of practice, it don't work.
On this, the spacing here really plays into that press too, right? Where it's like, I mean, there's no worry of a natural rub or exchange. And if I'm seeing it correctly, I believe this is 28 with the orange cleats that you're talking about playing in the slot here. That's a UDFA rookie this year. His name's Kader Kohu from Texas A&M Commerce. And
That's what he said to him. Sorry.
He has been an absolute delight for Miami, the fact that he made the 53-man roster, and he's playing increasingly high volumes of snaps. And you see it in this game, too, where he's taking reps against Jamison Crowder and Isaiah McKenzie in the slot playing man-to-man coverage and playing well above his weight class for a UDFA in the midst of some of the injuries that Miami's dealing with. Byron Jones, and that means Nick Needham, who's usually their nickel, is playing on the outside. So it's a really nice showcase of him and kind of the short area quickness that he has to guarantee that he gets up in front of that block from 73 releasing to come out here into the hash.
Yeah, and it's hard to pick guys when they're switching off too. And I remember watching last year, all the things they did the hardest was they would play off. They were doing more. Well, you don't want to do off coverage in the red zone, right? So that's why they're pressed. But they would 3-way bunches off the ball and still be able, because they were so athletic and fast. Like there's some stuff we talk about on here that can carry over to the high school game and the college game. Like some of this stuff I would never in a million years try. Like the 3-way was where all 3 guys were switching the bunches and stuff.
Right.
With guys, that was when they had Hollywood Browns. Guys running like 4-3. I think they still have them last year, right? Early on in the year.
Yeah, Hollywood was with Baltimore last year.
Yeah. All right, we got a little tilt. We got a little bit of everything in my wheelhouse for this game. That's why I loved it. So you got double rat here, down in the goal line. You don't want to put a middle of the field defender. There's no point. So what they'll usually do is they'll make some sort of funnel call or down call or something, which turns the middle of the field defender. So like, let's say there's a guy deep, and a guy short, then they both basically take a side and they'll be double rat. You can even get triple rat sometimes. So here's a little tilt front, which I thought was interesting because the Finns are in their Rhino package, which is a 4-3 package against 11 personnel. But their DBs, because they're playing cover zero. So here's the thing you have to keep in mind. Okay. This is important. If you are a cover one team, if you are a cover one team, okay, you cannot play base defense. You cannot play base defense to 11 personnel because your Sam linebacker has to cover the slot receiver, not a winning business model, right? But if you're a cover zero team, your 4 DBs are covering the 4 eligibles, and then you guys are 3-way in the back or 2-on-2. You can play base defense in this area and match it versus 11. So that's a huge point that nobody really talks about because nobody's dumb enough to talk about shit like this. But whatever, that's fine. That's for another conversation for another day. We can get into that on another day. But I mean, they're just saying, all right, it's fucking street ball, okay? I got you, I got you, I got him, I got a DB on him, and then you have a middle backer, a Sam, and a Will, and they're basically 3-on-1 on the back, right?
And that's where that funnel that you're talking about comes in, right? Where it's whatever release direction that back takes, you have it funneled and you can contain the route.
And you tell this guy to get real wide, because if they try a Texas route or whatever it's called now, angle route, you got help inside. Mm-hmm. So it's not like, I'm in man and, I can get you and get out of here. No, you're not inside out. And it's country street ball. I love the laziness of Allen, of when he just kind of just stands there.
The casualness of it.
Yeah, that's probably a better way. The casualness. Yeah. He's not lazy. That's unfair. And then they're really like, you can't run in here because here's the other thing they can do. They can also blitz your ass. And then this guy takes the back, and then if he has him, he peels, and then he can add around in here, and they cancel the inside gap. So you can't you're kind of screwed. But you have to have the personnel for that. You have to be built to handle that stuff. You need guys like Holland, right?
Holland, yeah.
Yeah.
And Holland's a really fun case study of this because of the variety of usage that he had going back to Oregon, where his freshman year, he effectively played high post free safety. And then Oregon kind of realized, like, we got to get this dude closer to the line of scrimmage and utilize him in the nickel and on the second level. And you really saw that role grow for him so much to the point where when Holland came out, kind of the narrative was, well, he might be a third safety because he plays so much man-to-man coverage in the slot. And obviously we've seen the starring role that Holland is able to play playing free safety for Miami with how much middle of the field closed coverage that they play. But yeah, I mean, him and even Brandon Jones, I think, has taken a nice step forward as far as what he's able to do in coverage 29, the other safety that they have. So some of the interchangeability that they have there for some matchups against receivers inside and tight ends really gives them that flexibility that you're talking about, Coach.
This is really bad. Now we've talked about some of the good. You have an edge rusher, you have an extra rusher, and you have a backer that can play the back, and none of them play the running back. None of them. You got 3-on-1, 3-on-none. It's not good. That's just shitty. And that can be so, like, for all the card stuff they can do, that is unacceptable in my mind. All right.
Do you have a gut off of that look, who that is? Or who you would be more inclined, like, is your reaction initially to say, hey, 29, you got to peel there? Or is that, hey, 52, you got to work over top and at least give some semblance of awareness to him?
Here's what I would do. If I got 2 guys coming off the edge this fast and one of them's unblocked, they can't run an angle route. I would line his ass up over here and have him take him, because they can block this if you fan, because it's going to be a quick hitting play. It's 4th and 1, 4th and 2, right? Sorry, I didn't do the personnel group. You got your whole goal is to get 2 off the edge. The whole thing is you're hoping they do this, right? And you get 2 off the edge. Well, they changed the protection, I think. But the mistake is they twist these guys. And I know they're trying to, they also have to honor the run. But I don't understand why they slant this when you could have him stay out here, have him come off the edge, and have him grab him and let him get free Because if you tell him you got to peel on a 4th and 2 play, now they can get it out there. And now they can run that angle. Now they have time. They can buy themselves time. Where if you put this guy on him, it's a race against time. But again, I don't have all the answers. Just want to make that very, very, very clear. Like it's easy for me to sit back here and say, oh, I would have done this and I would have done that. Like fucking huge disclaimer over my head. Wow, dude, you're popular. This is the most people we've had live, I think, since we started this. All right, so the next series, they pass on first down or they get a yard. They come out, second play. They're like, all right, let's try running into this look. Let's see if this is a winning business model. Spoiler alert, it's not. And so for all that's made about 73 passes and all this stuff, and, oh, you got to get in the run. Well, you saw what happened when they tried to go 22 personnel, run the ball. So the third play of the game, they got into 22 personnel and got -2 yards. And when they get into 11, they have to run against this shit. I mean, who wants to do that? I don't know. I wouldn't. So it's like, what do you do? You're a passing team. This is not what it's not what you do. I mean, okay, so keep running into that. I mean, all right, now it's 3rd and 8. All right, we got a sack fumble here. So this is what I was saying. So last year, let's just go to the end zone here. Last year, the look of choice was an even front version of this. So we had a G. It was gaps. So it was usually it could change. Lineman, backer, safety would line up to the back. And then if there was a tight end situation like this, then the safety would be right there. And then if he blocked, they could add. This year, it's all odd. Now, in this game, it's odd and it's double threes. So right here, I'm not quite sure what they're trying to do here, why they're going odd. But I don't know why 73. I mean, this is a bad protection call. I mean, unless they don't think 26 can block. They're trying to use different looks to throw them off, but this is not great. You blocked with 7, and this is the problem with the Dolphins. If you're a cover 0 team, that's one thing, but they're peeling. So if you leave in 7 blockers, you're going to get a potential of 8 blitzers. And they're coming. Like, watch this guy. He's covering the tight end. So this is called, a lot of people call this Charlie protection, where they'll go like 2 jet or 3 jet protection, and then they'll have an extra blocker. There's YT protection, which what I call it. I know it's called something different. Well, they'll full slide and add the tight end in the back off the same side. But all you're doing with the Dolphins is it's the Buddy Ryan thing. Like, okay, you bring in an extra blocker. We got an extra
Everyone blitzer. You keep, we're going to throw one more.
And he tries to block around the edge, and you don't have time to like drift back and throw a screen because the extra guy is here. That one extra guy changes everything. There's literally no scheme to account for it. And then,
Coach, I think from a personnel perspective, I think one of the big reasons why you're seeing more of the odd down linemen, the 3 down linemen, is a testament to Melvin Ingram and his presence in that front, which is a new addition versus what they had last year. And he has made a career over the past decade of being able to reduce inside, be mugged up in B gaps and A gaps, being an edge defender and rushing off the edge. And that strip fumble that they had, Melvin Ingram has walked up off the right side. And I think it's some of it to some degree is an effort to say, okay, we got Christian Wilkins, we got Zach Sealer, we have 91 Emmanuel Ogba, we have Jalen Phillips 15. These are all guys we feel comfortable kind of putting their hand in the dirt, and Melvin being a guy who you can literally stand up and you don't know if we're going to go odd front, you don't know if we're going to go exotics, you don't know if we're going to go even front, like just that versatility that he has, I think is probably one of the reasons why you're seeing more hands in the dirt with these looks as compared to what you had last year, because Melvin wasn't in the picture last year.
I also think they're trying to get different protections, so you can't do the full slide shit. All right, this song's trash. I'm changing that shit. They try to run some, I don't know what the hell this is. Oh, it was a jet sweep. Never mind. I thought this was a fake play. So they try to run jet sweep with a pulling guard. So they're trying to get them out of these pressures. Just trying to throw enough stuff in there to get you thinking twice. All right, here's Sale versus 3D. I'm gonna go blaze through some of these plays because there's nothing to really talk about. Your standard fair 3 deep coverage. this, I mean, you're really screwed, right? This guy has to flip his hips. This is a sail it technique. So 2 is vertical, 3 is out. You split the zone with your ass to the sideline so you could drive up and you're in a position where you could pick this off. If you watch the Rams and a lot of match 3 teams, how they would play this, and I like this better. But again, this is where the Dolphins invest their time in. If you do that match 3 stuff, you can only do so many different things, like matching style, because you have to work on all these different things. Where this is, hey, we're going to play this every once in a while, get in throwing lanes, rally up, make the tackle. It's still an 8-yard gain because they're so deep. And that's why this out is so deep. One, it's Stephon Diggs. I mean, how deep is this freaking out? And 15, 18 yard out. I mean, but look at the split there. But how the Rams would play this is they would match this here, and I don't know why they don't do this. Seems like this, and I know this guy's not very good in space or whatever, but it was him, right? 52 or 55?
Yes. Yeah, it's 52.
52 is you now buy this guy. So you've taken away the throw here. Now he stays on this, and now you go man that up. It's like a late developing man. I mean, it's a tight end, guys. Like, come on. All right, we got the funk. Now they're feeling him out. This is my favorite part of the game. Like the first quarter, you're still getting stuff going. 1st and 10, 11 personnel. They line up in their Charger front. Now what they're going to do is they're going to run what I call lion path. People call it different things. Nickel's going to come underneath. They're going to drop out, and they're going to play 2 deep zone behind it. So you got somebody coming from the passing string. And they're playing Tampa behind it, which is difficult. Allen sees this, high-low, the curl defender, get the ball at the Singletary, get 8 yards. This is distracting as shit. I'm gonna have my own music next week. I'm gonna get a whole thing going. I saw that feature. Like, dude, you are popular. There are so many people here right now.
Listen, the Dolphins are a team that I know there's a lot of Dolphins fans that are ready to buy into this team and for them to be good. And obviously they're jazzed up beating the Bills for the first time in 8 tries. But I'm glad you mentioned the Tampa 2 stuff, because I think as this game develops, you see a little bit more of 45 at inside backer along with 55, and the athleticism of those 2 guys. They have intermittently run. They ran a 4th down stop on 4th and long against New England in week 1 with the Tampa 2 look, where 45 was the deep middle player. And that athleticism is such a stark and dynamic difference versus what you have in 52. So I think it's pretty telling as this game goes on. You'll see them kind of come back to the well with that look, and they had some success with it as far as really continuing to squeeze those deeper throwing windows and kind of forcing shorter throws and the opportunities to rally and come up and tackle the ball in space.
Absolutely. So we get them going bigger personnel, 21 personnel, skipped a few plays ahead, 2nd and 9 from the 37. The Dolphins are in 3-4. Their base personnel. They're going to run, it looks like inverted 2 here. So for all you old G. Robber guys, the old Virginia Tech, Washington, Gary Patterson, Bud Foster, it's basically inverted. It's Robber, which makes me happy. They're just bringing this, they're slanting, so it basically becomes under Robber. And they do it. What really screws up the quarterback here is, and what makes this so great is it looks like it's going to be under 3. Bring this guy. Yeah, they moved to under because they got the wing. They got the YY wing. So even if they had a double eagle front, a lot of guys, what they'll do is they'll pull the front. And so it looks like it's going to be 3. And then all of a sudden, psych. Got a guy for the OTB, the over-the-ball mesh. The corners are now inside for anything to hit deep. And these guys can work back and play the crossers. Good play. Okay, we got a 3rd and 9 here, 11 personnel from the 37, so you're on the fringe. They're showing everybody coming. Are matched up. We got 7 up on the line. They got a banjo the running back. So the whole thing is, most of the time, if you weren't here last year, I say most of the time, Holland is going to go to the running back. So this is more the, it's not even, it's still odd. There's still only three linemen. There's backer bodies. It's one 1-4-6 personnel. So I'm guessing down lineman, outside backer, inside backer, or inside. I don't know. I don't know how the math would work out there and who's who.
15's an edge guy, as well. So
Okay.
they got two edge guys to the right side here. And Ogbah, I think, could technically be classified as a 91 who's kind of in that.
Oh shit! We lost Kyle. We lost.
Hello.
You back?
Hello.
Oh,
I'm back.
We got to add him back in. Oh, okay. You're back in. Whoa. All right. So you got to prevent this. So this guy here, if he gets full slide away, he's got to see the back. He's got to take him. There's no other way to play that. Unless you have one of these guys that's dropping, but to engage, to get these guys, they're not just dropping. They have to engage and then go to tell a guy, hey, I'm going to go engage, and then I want you to pop out and take the guy coming full. Yeah, that's horseshit. That ain't happening. Certifiable horseshit. So we got our second bust. And we get another odd Bengals next play. Flip the field, 4th and 2. He scrambles and gets the first down. A lot of canned plays. Fake toss, supposed to be a play action. No shit.
That's just 17 being Hercules, man.
Yeah, that's anybody else besides maybe Lamar Jackson and maybe some other guys. But so what I think they're trying to do here, the more I look at it is, and this is actually really smart. If you line up like this, they can't do their full slide shit. I don't think. They want to try to be in 5-0 land, which is exactly what they're in right now. Man, throw hot off of this guy. That would be your hot. And then if he came, or if it's 7, you got to get it out, right? But instead of them being able to full slide or half slide and insert and doing different things, I think what they're trying to do is dictate the protection. Because if you full slide this look right here, the Dolphins could literally drop 8 and you get a free runner on the running back every single play.
Right.
Which
and
you don't even do.
It works for them in this game too, because Mitch Morse, the starting center for Buffalo, did not play in this game, and Christian Wilkins played more on the nose, 94, and played more head up on the center that he has ever played. And some of that is because, 98, the true nose tackle for Miami, Raekwon Davis, didn't play too. But he also won a lot of one-on-ones when they dictated and kind of came into these 5-0 fronts and forced you to play one-on-one matchups across the board. And Wilkins had his way he had his way with all 3 interior guys, but he spent a lot more time head up on the center than what he has historically in Miami. So I think that's a very good observation from you, and them wanting to live in that world with these 5-0 protections. Well, yeah, you feel like you get a one-on-one matchup that your guy's going to win every time.
How much of this defense is Brian Flores? It's mostly the same exact scheme. It's the scheme that they drew up together when he was there. I haven't seen, it's all mostly. Now again, I'd have to watch more than one game, but I'm watching this game. I don't see anything new except maybe some of there's some 2 trap stuff we'll see, but I think that's a natural evolution because they did it. They were doing stuff where they were bringing a backer and then a corner and then an edge guy. They were doing multiple answers out of it. But I don't think that's, Brian Flores isn't here anymore. I can go ahead and do this, if that makes sense.
I believe it was linebacker Jerome Baker a couple weeks ago when he was asked in media availability, said it's about 90% was the percentile that he offered when he was asked how much of this defense is the same as last year. So you're right on the nose.
This is bad here. So if you get this guy, try to come in here and bang back, get in his jet stream and come underneath. Because if 29 comes under, now Josh may take him for a ride, but it's better than that. But those are the little things that you have to coach up. People just think, I just line up and bring 6 people. It's 7 people. There's so much little shit you have to work on. All right, here's
it's the value of not having 2 defenders in the same gap. You have 2 guys free running off the edge and nobody in the B gap. And that's where, sure enough, that's where Josh gouges you when he steps up out of the pocket. So
right. Well, and that guy steps down. So I see why they both come off the edge because I've trained that a bunch. But you got to tell those guys, At the NFL level, the high school level, they just go, I'm going to go to block down now. And they just block down, but they don't come down and then go back out. When you get that going back out, then you have to adjust. All right, so we got a sack pretty easy. Undercover 3. The edge rusher takes an inside move, hits Josh down in the face. 21 personnel, 1st and 10 from the 27. Little play. Or no, actually, this is drop back. I mean, this is just a guy making a move. Just guys being dudes. Nothing to this, really. I mean, 6 just takes an inside move. Melvin Ingram.
Last 3 times he's played Buffalo, he's terrorized. I mean, he played him week 1 last year in Pittsburgh, played him later in the season last year in Kansas City, and then played him now in Miami. And he had 7 pressures on Sunday for Miami. I mean, he's got the formula for rushing against this Bills offensive line, whatever he does. He's just kind of has a great feel for it.
All right. Charlie, defenses will, if they see an obvious 7-man protection look, so 2 guys in the backfield on the same side, they will a lot of times change their calls and or play it differently. So right now, and this is just context clues, almost every time they lined up in a bluff look and played coverage, they brought one of the safeties here. One guy was a spy, and one guy would be a cut crosser guy, right? Depending on the formation. Here, you got Diggs down here as the X. So I'm thinking I'm going to look for him coming across. He's got a normal split, maybe not. But now he's saying something and going, hey, man, look, they're both back there. And so they're kind of eyeballing him. You get a coffee house blitz right here. Guy gets Scott ass free with a great throw and a great catch. And that is one where, as a defensive coordinator, you just say, they got us. I mean, if we're being honest, you can do some bullshit of, oh, you should have done this. And you know, those guys that are never wrong. But you see the Charger look, and this is awesome. So they've been dropping. Now he's going to come out late. He's going to act like he goes. So you have 1, 2 guys here, 3, 4 potential protectors, maybe even 5 if you want to count the center, and he gets Scott as free because he fakes it. And this is scouting. Hey, these guys tend to, if they don't see pressure, they go now. So let's put in the coffee house. These guys are chipping and going. Watch both these guys. Nobody's coming, coach. He still throws that ball. Jesus. All right, I'm going to pick up the pace here. 2nd and 9, next play, or actually 2 plays later. 2nd and 9, 11 personnel with completion for 1 yard. So you're going to get a bracket and a spy here. So now you have single mug. So you got double 3s. Single mug to give 5-0. The guy off the ball playing the back. Pretty straightforward. Man on the back. Spy. Bracketing 13 back here. So by this formation, right? Well, Diggs isn't in, I don't think. By this formation, 3-by-1, the guy to double is here. If you got a single guy. So this guy's more of a spy. He's got his eyes locked. He's not looking to cut crossers. So they didn't cut a lot of crossers with guys on the line. They were country ass, street ball, playing in the cul-de-sac, spies. Get the ball to Singletary, get a yard. Watch this from the end zone real fast. I want to get through all these plays, and I don't want to. We still got stuff we got to do around the house. So, all right, they come and they heat him up. 3rd and 8, touchdown by the Bills. Great job. He doesn't like the look. He cans it, brings the protection back in. He's like, I don't know the can, my guy. Fuck it, let's just roll. Max blitz, full slide. Allen buys himself enough time, slides back a little bit, got pressure in his face, gets the ball off. Championship. Let's watch him block this. As much as I enjoy getting free runners, I will say I do love watching these guys block some stuff here. This is DJ Vass coming at you live from the hurricane. What did I say on the tweet? I thought that was pretty good. I was like, preparing for the hurricane by watching a fucking tornado or something like that. I thought I was really clever there. All right, so this is why I love Josh Boyer. Oh, yeah? You got us? 2 plays later. Well, guess what? Here we come again. a little RPO uncovered. Now, again, we saw this last year against Jackson. Get the bubbles out, and now, or it's in more of an arrow. It's not really a bubble. He starts to like, oh shit, turns around, hit north. Great job. There's 10 yards. So, but that's what you're living with. Yes, he gets 10 yards. Yes, they get a completion, but look at their play selection. I mean, if you can, it's the equivalent of like body blows in the run game, right? If you can play enough in the run game to not give up big plays and then play the play action pass on the money downs, you don't got to stop them every first down. You just got to stop them once or twice and put them in 2nd and 17. You know what I mean? And that's kind of, they kind of have that old school mentality. Like, and you have to be mentally tough to play this defense because you're going to get beat. You're going to get, and it's going to be one-on-one, and there's going to be no mystery as to who got their ass beat.
And for every haymaker that Miami hit for the vast majority of this game, if it was outside the 20-yard line, Buffalo came back and they hit a haymaker on a corresponding play. And no greater evidence than that crosser that they hit that set them up in the red zone on the previous position where, great, Melvin Ingram gets an inside move and gets a sack and sets you behind the chains. I heard a stat on the broadcast. This was the first game all year Buffalo had faced a 3rd and 10 or longer. And, Miami got them into those situations, and Buffalo converted, I think, 11 of 18 on 3rd down, and they were 2 of 3 on 4th down. And it's like you said, it's that war of attrition mentally where they put their guys on islands and they say, we're going to put you in high stress situations and you're going to have to execute. And it was a really fun battle back and forth throughout the entirety of the game with haymaker going back and forth.
Absolutely. So I like this adjustment. This is just vanilla cover 3, but you can see here by 52's drop. When he makes a play, I'll learn his name. As you could see with the cut split, the corner's off, and there's some sort of communication. Let's see if we can go back here. Watch 40 and 52. Watch the corner. Is that Nick Needham?
40, yeah.
You know how I know his name? Because I have a defensive player fantasy football league, and I have him as my corner. All right, so you see him. They're talking. They're giving some sort of sign. Now watch this. You see this a lot in fire zones. He's looking. So at first, I was looking at him when the ball was snapped. I'm like, oh, it's Tampa, but it's clearly not, right? And I realized, oh, they just said pre-snap. Look, you take this guy. I'll play the weak hook and take any benders from 3. You see that drop? That's not a normal 3D drop. Thank you. Had to get some water. Realized all I have is like Diet Coke and the energy drink, and my stomach's bothering me. Just crushed a little KFC and had a bunch of energy drinks before. No big deal.
The Alanis are good, but you can't have too many of them.
No, but this is just the game within the game, right? Like this is. You might be sitting here. This might be the first time you see me talking. Like, really, this is what you're like. This is what you're talking about. But this is. If you want to learn this shit, like this is what happens. This is where game planning comes in. Is somewhere, and I'm guessing here. I don't know. I wasn't in there. X cut split. Let's exchange this off the bat. We're expecting him to run an over route. Might as well just switch it off the bat. Now, obviously, if he busts his ass down the field, he's going to open, see that he's not coming underneath, and then he'll kind of swivel back or, maybe open back to the ball to see if something's coming across, but he's got his depth. He's not trailing like normal on these routes where he'd be like this. Anyway, I like that kind of stuff. I mean, look and bust his ass out of there. That's he's looking right at him. That's not a weak hook drop. A normal weak hook drop is you would open this way. Also, their tight end doesn't go vertical much from what I've seen. Now, I'm just talking about from this game. Please don't hit me with the PFF stats. He actually goes vertical 96%. I don't give a shit. Fuck your stats. All right, so we got the nickel blitz again. If at first it doesn't succeed, try again.
They kept trying. I don't think they got him once.
Well, I think what they realized Singletary's a better blocker than I think that he gave him credit for because he stonewalled it. Or no, that's not Singletary. Okay,
that's Moss. That's Zach Moss, who's a casual like 220, 225. He's a big dude, and Kohu, this nickel corners 180, 185. It's a big ass for him to come in there.
Yeah. You said 45 has been playing a lot more.
Yeah.
This is why. I know that
Right.
you didn't. I know that it wasn't a mystery to you. I'm just to the viewers and the listeners. This is why. Oh, no big deal. I'm just gonna play Tampa from the line of scrimmage. NBD, no big deal.
That's the same drop he took against New England in Week 1, and Mac Jones targeted tight end over the middle of the field, and the ball hit 45 in the back, right between the numbers for a PBU. So his range is outstanding. It's the tightrope they got to walk between. He's now a super physical player. That's 52. 45 can actually cover and can give you this kind of value dropping and taking guys.
Ran with that
routes.
dude step by step. You'll see him replace in the flats too. He takes an inside move, which means he's going inside. I'm going to sink off. I'm going to start being ready to play the half because he's got his back to this side of the formation. He's opening to strength. This safety's going to end up playing the crosser. This is NFL shit right here. I think after this game, he said it's the most tired he's ever been in his life. Diggs.
Mm-hmm. Said he had an IV in each arm too, which I think field level temperatures were around 120.
I hate this. What the fuck are you doing? This is just irritating. I'm gonna stop here. What are you doing, dude? I mean, he's got enough time to sit back there and smoke a pack of Cools. I don't understand this. All right, we got cover one at a Charger now, so you're gonna see some one cross. I'm gonna skip ahead. Actually, I'm sorry, this is not Charger. This is the odd look. But what's interesting about what they're doing is now they're playing 4-1, or it's really there's two linemen and they're calling one outside the back, and it doesn't matter. These are X's on a chalkboard, but you have a down guy, so it's a simple 5-0 look, but they're using instead of two backers like they did when they had Van Noy, they're putting their hand in the ground because those guys are better players, right? So you use your personnel. It's all the same shit. I mean, the stunt sucks. I don't know what this is. This is not how you balance out a pass rush. I thought 92 was going to bang back here. I mean, they got lucky there. Don't do that. Don't ever do that. I want to see the coverage here. All right, so you got one coming down, so he's going to be your rat. So you got to play. This is a dime-only coverage. If you see a safety coming down and ratting, being the rat, you can only do that if you have two edge guys that can cover man on man. So you don't ever see this at a nickel. Suicide. Unless they have a tight end that doesn't release and you put your backer. I mean, I guess I should have prefaced that. I'm talking about versus 4 open looks. All right, next series. We got 2-minute drill. Miami just says, screw it. We're going to play Tampa 2 here. We're just going to let this roll. You have a loaded front. Some people call that giant. Josh is pointing a lot. Get the ball out fast. Did he drop that? Did he catch it and drop that on that play? Offensive lines have trouble with some of these looks, these 5-0, 4/5-9 looks, because it can screw with their rules if they're supposed to slide right. The offensive right, defensive left. You can see they're going, well, shit. I think they're redirecting. I think that, again, I could be reading way too much into this, but you can see they're stopping. They're like, hey, guys, I know we're supposed to work this way, but we got a problem here. So they're like, they're going to, you would try and 4-1 slide this. So you would try and put him on the island.
Just lock the backside tackle.
Yeah. Which you normally wouldn't do versus nod front. You can tell I've been doing a lot of pass pro stuff lately.
I love pass pro. Speaking my language.
I'm actually meeting with the next NFL coach tomorrow. We're going to talk about like all the different ways all these different teams block all this crazy shit. I hired him because I want to learn, because I'm doing a lot of third down stuff. Some different teams. And so I want to help be able to get, I want to know what the cutting edge answers are to things like this. And that's hard to get. It's Tampa 2. Bring the crosser. I mean, this is good for the Dolphins. They give up 9 yards. Takes a lot of time to get the playoff. He's in bounds. Win for the defense in my book. I mean, it's 2nd and 4. Nothing deep, nothing cheap. Let's go next play. Is the music too distracting, guys? Let me know. Just want a little something. I hate dead air. We got triple mesh here. You can tell right here they're just trying to get the field goal at this point. What's the score? 14-all.
14 up.
I mean, there's 1:05 left, and you're throwing mesh over the ball. Does it say how many timeouts they have? Sorry. I don't see timeouts up there. Do you? No.
No.
We'll have to guess.
I know this possession ends with a botched fake snap or fake spike, so
Yes.
they may have no timeouts at this point. I'm not completely certain if they had one that they used between now and that end of possession or not, though.
I mean, that's a defensive win. 6 yards over the middle, in between the hash marks, and NFL hash marks at that. Well, college hash marks, I guess. You could tell they're gassed. I mean, look at these routes. My man here in the slot. The guy getting the ball. Look at this. We used to call this at Sarah Helios, the god of the sun. we played on Saturdays. So most of our opponents, only a few of them were used to playing on Saturdays, but they were in San Francisco where it was colder. So we would go, we did this whole thing when it was Helios. The kids would buy into it. And that was our home field advantage. And it was only like 75 degrees. I can't imagine what it was like. And I can. I used to go to school down there. All right. We got the nickel pressure again. So you'll see some real-time halftime adjustments here. I don't like the splits versus trips, but because first of all, you give it away. You line this guy over number 3, and there's nobody on this guy. Not great.
And that's such a big ask for this A-gap backer, too, to push out here and account for, as if he sees that pressure at all, right? And you see they just convert to a hitch here, and it's just pitch and catch.
Yeah. We used to package this. So we would call, we did it my second to last year. Well, I can't remember, but let's just say we called it Rogers, I think. No, this was something different. It doesn't matter what we called it. And if it was 2x2, the nickel came. If it was 3x1, we would switch it to the backer, which you can't do if you want to double mug. So you'd come from this side. So you'd bring the corner. Now he's only got to cover one guy, and then you'd flip it to the one receiver side to avoid this. Because right now, Josh knows he knows exactly what's happening. You could stand this guy up over all you want because it's 2 minutes, so you can't get too crazy because then I'll just launch a ball over your head.
Right.
All right, so Miami switches to their cheetah package: 2 down linemen, 2 backer, 7 DBs. They got Tampa. Drop 8 Tampa, so they got a spy and a middle runner. They hit the slant, good throw. All right, was this? I didn't read the comments after the game. This was botched, right? This was not planned.
Right, so he got up under center, and obviously we mentioned earlier, Mitch Morse, the starting center, didn't play, and he kind of fumbled the center exchange. And if that spike's not continuous, it's a penalty with a 10-second runoff. So his immediate reaction was, I'm going to throw it out here to Diggs, as compared to potentially throwing it at his feet or throwing it out of bounds to try and stop the clock through an incomplete pass that way.
Smart. That's almost instant torture. They ran out of time. All right. Next series. Now we got halftime. 3rd and 7 from the -5 yard line. 11 personnel. They're in their Charger front. They're bringing the nickel again. Now they bring them off the edge. I hate this. I really, really. And we used to run this shit all the time. You run the splits 3 times. It sucked 3 times. And you haven't even been close. Because even if you trap the corner, that's why they're doing this. Because if you go in here, one of these guys pops. If you go out here, this guy traps it, so you just literally stop. Seven yards. Now it's 3rd and 7, so I guess that's a win, right? And they made him punt, so... Actually,
I think they gave him the first on this.
No, I'm reading the wrong column. They did get the first because this is the next play. Now, here's Boyer's answer. This is balls deluxe, my friend. This is some shit right here. You guys want to see... I'm Josh Boyer, and welcome to fucking Russian roulette. They line up 4 cross man, and they send his ass to the middle of the field and run double bust, cover 3. I mean,
This is crazy play from
my
Holland.
God. From the line of scrimmage. They do it multiple times too. You see these guys. Is he fucking serious, dog? Really? He wants. He's okay. Are you going? Really? You start talking. They're like, all right, I guess we're gonna do this. Hold on to your ass. They get a free runner too. Whoops. Because here it is. So they tried to run the play that opened the game. Right? Or was it the play that opened the game to come across and dump the ball out? I don't know if it was the play to open the game, but
I think it was third possession for Buffalo.
Yeah. So here's the problem. This is why you got to mix it up. You got two guys sitting right on it and a defensive end running at you. Next play. Now we're going to bring it from the weak side, the corner, which is the one I was talking about. It's 3-by-1. They're going to bring the corner. They're going to pop the nickel, pop the top here. This scares the shit out of me. I would not run this coverage, but, I'm also not Josh Boyer. So, I'm not saying he's wrong or it's bad. I'm just saying he's got more balls than I do. Actually, that's not too bad. I don't hate that with those tight splits. I'm so used to the problem is in high school, the ball would be like right here, right? I mean, obviously, the college and high school, these guys are better athletes, but it's also not even that. It's spacing. I wouldn't run this if it was the same athletes on the field and it was high school hashes. I mean, these are college hashes, so high school hashes would be here. The numbers would be about right there. Like the high school numbers would be there. Maybe there. Now they're going to bring the corner. I mean, this is dirty. You give him the okie-doke. Whoop.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think Miami comes back and runs this same pressure look a little later in the game, and they hit a corner over top of it, and he drops it right over the top of 29 on what is like the perfect throw. But they clearly saw something they liked with this one, where they came back to the well. They just happened to get burned on it twice because Allen's a freight train and he's got unreal arm talent.
Question in the chat: why do they keep calling cover 2 to 2x2 formations? Isn't that bad? No, it's actually what you want to call. So Tampa 2. So real quick, because I've been saying this on Twitter a lot, I want to clear something up. All right, cover 2 is it's not meant in its current form. It's like regular form. I want to try to get a 2x2 formation where they're spread out. All right, imagine this guy's here. Okay. All right, here's the problem with cover 2. It's not meant for 2x2, but they're not playing 2. They're playing Tampa. Regular cover 2 would say, I have the flats, so I'm not gonna run. If two guys go vertical, I'm not gonna run with it. And I have this guy at 10 to 12 yards, and I would sit here. And I'd have a guy here at 10 to 12 yards. I'd have a guy standing here in the middle, and I'd have a guy out here. And so these two safeties would literally have to cover 4 guys, which is terrible. You cannot do that. So there's a couple answers you can do. Answer number 1, I sink the corners out and keep the safeties. I wish I could keep a running list here, but you say, all right, I'm going to sink out and I'm going to keep this guy more inside. I'm going to let this guy stay here and not run him. Well, that's basically palms coverage. That's 2 read. Okay. That's option 1. Let me see if I can do it in the corner. I just hate trying to draw here. 2 read, okay? Or 2 read-like tendencies. Oh, it disappears anyway. Oh, well. Number 2, the next thing I do is I keep these guys in the flats, and I have them sink, and then I have these guys run all the way down the field. So imagine the backer's here, this guy's here. They would run with the seams. Now the safeties can get wider. Now, problem. You got a guy, 4 verts, you got a guy standing here doing nothing, and you have on this side an inside backer. Now, if it's an inside backer and a tight end, but what happens when they put the tight end here and the Stephon Diggs there? They have an inside backer matched up on a receiver, one-on-one. Now, he only has to trail, so that's the good thing is you get the ball over the top. That's why these guys break on it. So there's option 2. Option 3 is you leave these guys in the flats, do this, but push these guys wider. And that's Tampa. And then run a guy down the middle of the field and he plays the benders. Because in regular cover 2, flat, curl, hook, curl, flat, half, half. This is where your problem is. Right? Yeah, the whole shot, but the whole shot, the shit's knocked out of him. Yeah, they get 20 yards, but that thing's going out of bounds. What's scarier to me is this guy bends this thing, catches it, running full steam ahead. And the only line of defense I have is a guy that's way the hell out here trying to come back to the middle of the field. He does a cut move and it's out the gate. So you have to control that somehow. You have to control these seams. In cover 2 and cover 3, you want people out of the seams, right? You want people out of this area. You want to force them to the free safety. So you want to force them inside. And 2 deep, you want them in the seam. So you want to funnel them outside. But the thing is, you can funnel them all you want, but as soon as he gets past the funnel, they can get back in there. So you have to take that away. So when I say cover 2 is bad versus 2x2, that's what I mean, traditional 2. They're not playing traditional 2, they're Tampa. And I'm sorry if I have to remember sometimes that when I'm speaking in general and I'm not referencing a specific clip, I know that my coaching buddies know what I mean by you can play this versus 2x2. They know that I know it's Tampa, but y'all may not. And that's where I need to do a better job there. But yes, traditional 2 versus 2. Cover 2 was invented to stop a one receiver side. It was what made it popular was under quarter, half. Like in the late 70s, early 80s. And it was a way to combat a one receiver side. All right. Here's the corner blitz again. Now they widen them out. Okay, so there's the seam ball right there, right? But it's taken away because my man here is right there. See? He can go play that. Now he opens to get depth. And here's the subtlety. Okay, let's talk about some subtle adjustments you'll see in Tampa. A really good coached up Tampa team, you can tell between an average Tampa team. And it's one thing that I always look for, which is if this backer is opening up that way, this guy is going to drop more shallow. And if his back is to this guy, then he has to drop deeper. So you'll see these guys be in like 3 different planes, if that makes sense. But Bud Foster did a really good job of this at Virginia Tech in the late 2000s and beyond. Because he knows I'm protected. And that's where you'll see, like back in the day with Derek Brooks, he would go make plays over here because the middle runner was opening to him. So I had the freedom to go do stupid. No, it's not stupid. I shouldn't say that. Crazy shit like go make a play over here. But this guy had to be more disciplined. Now, how they're deciding that's game plan. This is probably we're on a hash. It's 2x2. I'm going to open up to the field. Because hashes don't usually matter in the NFL, but they can if it's, more of a 2 deep deal. It matters when you're landmark dropping. And that's a great drop. Look at their angles. And to your point earlier, watch where they stop right there. And also, this safety, if you notice, he's hanging out deeper. So the Dolphins, these guys play the same, but it looks like to me, he's deeper and he's shallower because he knows I can get wider because I got help in here.
Because he's pushing.
I necessarily can't. Because if dude hits it in here, I got to drive on this. Does that make sense to everybody? I mean, I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page there, and I'm not confusing anybody. I'm trying to explain stuff, and sometimes when you try to explain things, all you do is you confuse the shit out of people.
Well, and it makes sense in here, right? It always makes sense in here, but when you're saying it out loud, but I think you did a great job of discussing leverage and understanding. Protection is, I think, a great way to put it as far as where you have help and where you don't have help.
Now, 2 plays later, they call the same coverage. Oh, I know what it was. I'm a dumbass. That last play. All right, let me back up here. I'm sorry. One thing I totally forgot is this guy is here because he's coming from this side. I got so wrapped up in the two deep discussion. I forgot. He's going, so he's playing the flat, so he's going to play more here. He can play slower because he's going straight back, if that makes sense, and he has the help. Sorry, I left. That's very important.
He doesn't have to compensate for the pressure.
Yeah. Now here's the stupid thing to me. It's not stupid, but when you're in your charger front, they're usually in one high, right? Why not line up down here? I know you don't want to cut out here and do this and then bring him to the half, but that makes more sense to me. And I know they're doing it for certain routes because they're trying to show, they're trying to rotate and they're trying to trick the quarterback.
This is that
because they're going to run option routes, and then, sorry, what's that? I'm sorry.
I said this is that corner route that I had mentioned where he drops it right over 29. Yeah, this was really that corner pressure that just. I mean, it's cool to see it transposed where a couple plays ago you were talking about where they did the same rotation and pushed the safety across, but I mean, they really felt like defensively they had a great beat on where 17 wanted to go with the ball a lot of times too, and what the route combinations were, and some of the ways that they got beat with these haymakers that we're talking about is it's just like it's a perfect throw. There's nothing you could do. So to your point about being able to have the fortitude to bounce back and be mentally tough in this defense, I mean, it felt like there were 5 times at least in this game where they had the perfect call lined up too and ready to go, and it was like they either tipped the ball or they just missed the ball, and you still give up a big play and come back. So I think that's what makes their ability to bow their backs defensively down the stretch all that much more impressive.
This is really impressive. All right, so this is the old Ron Roberts overshifted 50 defense, right? Where you've got, I know it's a bear, but 0, 3, 4, it doesn't matter. Where you get, you go here and you basically slant back to an over as you get 2 off the edge. Now, this is the problem when you bring in, you got cover corners trying to tackle somebody who's huge. Versus anybody else, this is a TFL. I'd be willing to say versus Lamar Jackson, this is a TFL. He's just so big and can just be like, get off me, little boy. And he just hits the corner. I mean, that shouldn't be. I love the call. I mean, could you design a better call? Now, one thing I will say where I don't like, my man, everything is going this way. Rock out of there. They lose him. Right there. I mean, he's way too far over. That ball is going to get cut off. There's 0% chance that this ball is going to get over here. And if it does, my man's right there. This is bad linebacker play. You should know he's got it. I'm going to play the cut back to the quarterback. He's trapped in there by 77. Also, they redirect. I mean, we're splitting hairs here now. All right, let's pick it up a little bit. This is just bear cover 1. So come out 11 personnel, 1st and 10 from the 17. They're lining up in straight bear defense. 0, 3, 3, 5, 9. Choke the tight end. Got the running back. Got this guy. Man, free. But they actually bring the guy covering the tight end. Because the run, now they do it. Now they get their ass. This is basically the same thing. Except they got a hard edge over here instead of it being a 5 and a 0. This is 2 plays later. This is a pull read. I don't know why he doesn't pull that. Well, they get down.
We get down to crunch time, and not to give too much away. And I don't know that you have this one on the script, but on the Dolphins, when the Bills have 1st and goal from the 2, or when the Bills have 1st and goal from the 2 here in the final 2 minutes, they come back to this zone read look, and Allen does keep the ball. And
right.
It was kind of fun to see this when I watched it too, and say, oh. Like you had a pull opportunity here, and then they get down into a must-have-it situation in the red zone, and they actually came back to the zone read again to try and get the same kind of look.
Absolutely. The other thing is, Allen, fringe, high red zone, that's when his carries go through the roof. I remember studying that when I studied the first game, the Rams, like 2020 in 2021. if they hit that fringe, he's getting the ball.
Yeah.
All right. So now we have even. They're running double rat. So this is actually interesting. So this is 2nd and 12 from the 19. So this is actually a little not dangerous, but I'm surprised they run this far out. And basically what they're doing is they got man, spy, rat. 19-yard lines is pretty aggressive. But, well, and they give up a completion. I love this play. I love these street ball plays. Like, I asked like 15 years ago, why don't they just motion down on 2-point and throw them the ball going full speed? And then people started doing it. I think that's like the one contribution I've had. No, it wasn't even a contribution. Just one thing I said to my buddy. Like this shit. All right, you go block him, and we're just going to kind of get the ball here. This reminds me of playing football when I was like 10 years old outside. And it's effective. Again, if they're going to play street ball, we'll play street ball. Now, here's the thing that screws them up. The casualness of this. Oh, no, they go pretty sharp. You'd think they would have spotted this. That is a pull the pin and go, come off and go. I'm sorry, not pull the pin and go. I got him. I play that banjo or that three-way, whatever you want to call it. I don't know if it's what, but they don't get it here. They let the guy go, and he gets 11 yards on 2nd and 12. So now they're in 3rd and 1. I get it. I skipped a couple plays. I think they were just like standard fair stuff. But we got 3rd and 11 now from the 11 personnel. We got one cross with a bracket. This is really interesting. Okay, because it's the goal line. Again, let's go over this. Because it's the goal line. Normally in one cross, some people call it different things. Basically, it's man. Again, this is a dime call. Man. Backer has the back. I'm the rat. I play the middle of the field. But we talked about this earlier. You do not do that inside of the 12-yard line. Low red zone. So now what they say is we're going to bracket and we're going to play cross, and it becomes basically double bracket. Now you look at the threats here. Who's 85 for the Bills? Help me out here.
Morris.
He ain't worth a broke dick. All right,
no.
Let's be honest here. We got Gabe Davis, Stephon Diggs.
Diggs in the slot at 3 strong.
So he's playing like a rat. They're bracketing here. So they see 1, 2 go behind 3. So now send him on there. He can play that from depth, and these two will latch onto this. They ain't going to throw a fade over here. You're more worried about him getting the ball. Nobody's open. Magician escapes. Throws the ball away. So again, that's where you see these. It's a single bracket with a rat, because there's no point in him. Because again, you got this guy's supposed to come down, and now I'm going to stand here at the goal line. What's the point of that? I did some red zone presentations for some NFL teams this offseason, so I've been paying way more attention to red zone than I ever have in my entire life, like in this last 6 months, combined with my previous 15-ish years that I've worked. I won't say who. I don't think they would appreciate it, but yeah, I presented to two NFL teams on different red zone strategies. A lot of the Vic Fangio stuff. Here's just a quick run. They're trying to get the run back on track. They're trying to do the McVay shit where they insert a receiver to create an extra blocker. All you've done is you bring an extra guy in the box. I don't like it. 1 yard gain.
And 6 is about 170 pounds soaking wet too.
Not great.
You want to bring somebody in here. That's not the way to make a living for him.
Yeah, bring in that big sumbitch 20 to be going there. Let him go knock the shit out of somebody. All right, so you got cover 1 now. You just got this guy reading off the quarterback's eyes. He sees it's quick game. He goes underneath. He eliminates himself. There's only one place it could be going to. He's just going to stay there a little late. Somebody with a little more presence makes that play. This is 2nd and 9. Overshifted front again. Now they're in, some people call those giants. Defensive guys call it loaded fronts, where you get 3 guys on one side, backer on the other. I don't like this as much because they can half slide this, which is what they do. I like the 5-0 looks where it's clearly a 0, clearly a 3, clearly a 3, 5 and 5, because now they can't slide. You
Yeah,
would
the
be so
angles are a lot
surprised.
cleaner here, right?
Yes.
Just kind of go 3 and 2, and it's pretty clearly defined because you got leverage to each half of the slide.
Yep. You'd be surprised what 6 inches can do. Pause. Between lining high, head up, and the shade. Size matters, boys. All right. Now, where this can be dangerous, so they actually slide this, but because they're here, they don't pass this. I don't know why. They get the effect of the 5-0. Maybe it is a 5-0. Maybe it is, and they just say, "Hey, he's on this side, so I'm going to take him. He's over here." And it turns in. I mean, again, if I'm not on the line, I'm not getting these calls. I don't know, because it looks like a slide, but they're also setting out for their men. So maybe I'm wrong. Now, if you got a real badass here, and you like these loaded fronts, here's something for you. Run this shit. That will screw somebody's day up. Let me tell you. The Rams do it a lot, and it's awesome. Oh, man, I didn't get a flag. All right, we got a 5-0 look. So I've done 5-0 presentations where you've seen them drop 8. The one that I like the most is obviously bringing 5 with all those games. The Dolphins pretty much did 5-0, and they ran one cross where they bring the guy down. This guy acted as on the back. The other guy would act as a spy, or they would rush 4. So they actually flipped the leverage here. No, that's the guy who's supposed to come down. I'm sorry. But it's just kind of hanging out. This corner needs to be heavier outside with the split, especially if you have help dropping down. That's not good.
That's not surprising too. That's Eric Rowe. He converted to safety, so he's not used to playing isolated on the outside. You saw him on the previous play where he was choking the tight end. Very much used to having protected leverage as compared to being on the outside and playing coverage like that.
Now, in his defense, it was 3rd and 9, and they held him to 5 yards. So maybe I'm being too tough on him. But they got the first. I don't remember what happened on this, but they first down.
They blocked the field goal on the.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's 31-yard line here. I thought it was positive 31. All right. So we got the Charger look again. You're going to get this quick bubble look again. Allen's going to say, "Hey, I have a feeling the Dolphins knew their plays, not like cheating, but they picked something up off film, or they had the same kills or something, because they had their number a lot." All right, they're signaling Hawk, by the way. So they're signaling here. I mean, if you're going to use a blitz that's in Nick Saban's playbook from 20 years ago, I'm sorry.
A little more creative signal would help, right?
Caw! They're bringing it. Diggs does the walkout bubble, which is much easier to throw, much easier to catch, 6 yards. Now, here's what makes it all worthwhile. Let's go. Caw! Oh, shit. I believe there was also a penalty here because it says loss of 16. Was that right?
Oh, this is unnecessary roughness on Josh Allen in the pile at the end of the play. He takes Christian Wilkins' head off because he had referred to it as football stuff in the pile at the bottom here at the end of the pile up, and he kind of mushes Christian Wilkins' head into the ground and takes his helmet off, and got flagged for personal foul.
At least he didn't grab a snack pack. All right, here we go. We got cover 0. Allen buys himself time. I don't know what this guy's doing down here. I'm thinking he's going to go, and I mean, that's just really bad defense. I know this guy's a big sumbitch, but don't do this. All right, this is one of my favorite buck sweep pressures. This is just 11 personnel. The Dolphins are in their nickel deal. Guys, if you play pin pull zone, if you play buck sweep, simple. You're an overfront team. Cross him here. They're going to pull here based on the rules, and then bring him back to play the cutback. And then you tell this guy, hey, if they read this, be ready to fall back over here. Or versus pass, you can go. Simple, yet elegant. So the Bills are going to pull the center, which I I know, oh, that's supposed to work, but fucking A, man. I
It's an
think they're
impossible
this
ask
year.
for Roger. That's an impossible ask for Roger Saffold here against Chris Wilkins, 94.
Yeah. If he was maybe a G, I could see them doing it, but I don't know why they don't just, unless they don't think Saffold can pull. Well, then don't run the play. Also, I hate to tell these guys. Should I let him in on a little secret?
It's a little one.
All right. I don't know how many people know this. It's not that bad, but some guys will put and not just how many guys are hands in the ground, but whose hands are in the ground by play. All of a sudden, this right guard doesn't have his hand in the ground. Now, again, I'm just, if I'm breaking this shit down the first time through and I'm seeing the guard with his hand up and the tackle has his hand down, I'm putting in, if I'm a position coach, I'm putting in for the graduates. Well, it would be QCs in this. You can't take the college out of me, Kyle. It's hard. Tell the quality control guys or the analyst, hey, I want to report on
anytime
pass downs when the tackle has his hand down, the guard's hand is up. How many times does this happen? Like if we got something and we ran a 4-2-5, I would slant everybody. It'd be like Madden. I'd hit that L2 or L1 button, and everybody would be doing this. Everyone. All right, we got a Joker look here. We got True Odd, True 5-0, one of the first ones we've really gotten with two stand-up guys. And very interesting here. This is a cool look, okay, for these nerds like me. They're going to bring the corner, show one high. This is the True 5-0 look. I think they did it last year, but bring this guy, trap him. This is kind of what I was talking about before. Obviously easier with only one receiver. Nowhere to go with the ball. They have to check it down. They get the first, but it's -6 yards. I believe there was some sort of penalty. I think, is this the first True 5-0? Well, no, they moved 6 in here, so they just flipped the guys. It's the same people. But I think that's the first time that they've been in odd with a stand-up on each guard.
Yeah.
That I can
at least to the ones that we've pulled. And I think that was the thing that was most impressive too, was all of we're this late in the game and you're now getting a new presentation, right? Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, we're halfway through the fourth quarter and this is the first time we could say, oh, well, we got the two backers and they're walked up over the guards as compared to being mugged up in the A's. It's a testament to all the different versatility of the guys that they have up front and the different alignments that they can get out of all those guys to have that kind of legs.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you look real quick, it doesn't hurt because, and these are throwaways, meaning you do this once and then you do it 9 weeks from now one time and you hide your tendencies. But obviously you want Melvin Ingram as the edge guy, right? But he's going to be stunting inside anyway, so it doesn't matter. And that's where you make the other side work is you throw shit in like that. That doesn't matter because this guy's
spend all that extra
inside.
time preparing for what ifs based off that.
Yes, 100%. Especially if you're in high school, make them fucking pansy ass offensive coordinators teaching English. Figure this shit out. Just kidding. I love all you English teachers. I love you more if you're on defense. All right, drop 8 inverted halves. Let's go. Showing one high. I'm sorry. It's inverted half to one side, 2 to the other. They're pushing all their strength. So this is 21 personnel, slot formation. So it's simple. They're just going to push here. There's no point in this front. And this comes down to, some people have asked me over the years, like, how do you choose a coverage? Like, what makes one or the other? Do they necessarily want to play inverted halves over here? Maybe. I don't know. But it's not a coverage decision. You have a 9 technique, a 90 safety backer. You don't need a corner here too, right? Like even with this near gun set, like you don't need 1, 2, 3, 4 guys matching the side. Mm-hmm. So, hey man, just go play the middle of the field, play the inverted half. We'll take the first to the flat, especially if this guy's dropping. Okay. And this is, since I gave an offensive secret away, defensive guys will help you out, or offensive guys will help you out. This is why people get in the slot sets to identify stuff like this. Okay, let's go to the wide shot here. Change the song up. I think I like Daydreaming the most. I like this one the best. Okay. You get them into this, and they're stacked here. It's like the fucking, what's that song? The train. Come on, the train. Run it. I mean, you're going to know something's up.
Yeah.
They're dropping 8. Hook, or sorry, curl, flat. Okay, so they're Tampa. So I'm sorry. So it's drop 8 spacing. So this would be flat, curl, Tampa, low, hook. So you're going to stack your hook players. So, and this is what you want to do if they're high-lowing your hooks a lot. If they're high-lowing you in the hook zone, this is how you combat that. You shove him underneath in the hook. He takes the curl. He plays the flat, and he can go be the half. Backside corner rules. I'm looking Y corner, no Y corner. Looking front side post. Now, it changes. That's early on if he lines up in here. With him coming out, now it's more, I got to be more in a hurry because I got to get over the top. Now I have 2 threats. And now they high-low this guy, but the front side of the play is over here. They try to throw the whole shot, another near interception. I said the other day, don't play 2 in the red zone, and here's why. If this guy breaks out, he can sink and play. At high red zone, 23-yard line is pushing it, but when you start getting in the low red, when you get 5-yard option routes and there's only 9 yards to go for a touchdown, that's a lot. 5 yards down here is like 20 in the open field. Rally up and make the tackle. Shit don't work when they only got 8 yards to go to score a touchdown. Or worse, it's 3rd and 4 from the 10, and they just got to get a first. Now they got a whole new set of downs. Like, that's what I was saying. I know people are like, what about Tampa? What about drop 8? Yes, I'm talking about, what about red 2? You know what? You want to know what the clue is that red 2 is not cover 2, Kyle? They put another word in front of 2 to tell you it's not
coded.
Cover 2.
It's coded.
Yeah, it's coded. This camera blur shit ain't gonna work anyway. By the way, I keep going out of focus. We tried. I'm gonna get my green screen out. I'm gonna have some fun with that. I bought a green screen when I first started doing this. I'm gonna have like the Eiffel Tower and shit. All right, now we get the insane. Now this shit I don't mind at the 23-yard line, 24-yard line. My man Holland is gonna go play the middle safety again. Double buzz. We get triple mesh. This is actually a phenomenal call versus mesh rail. Mesh rail is mesh with this guy running the wheel route. Because you got buzz here, a guy sitting here with nothing to do. When all this shit goes away, chilling. He can be your OTB over the ball. He can sink in, or whomever. One of these guys can play the over the ball guy. Because, you know, you get this play, and then it doesn't matter who it is, but let's just say it's mesh, over the ball, mesh, rail. You cover down, as you can see right here. There's no good options. You can throw the ball for a 1-yard gain, I guess, on 2nd and 5. This is your first read from this play. Usually he's looking here. You've got this capped, whatever the hell you want to call it. You have a DB running his ass out of the stadium. That's about appropriate for where he drops. And you got 2 guys over him. I mean, where's he going to go? Right now, that's dead. So depending on how you read this, you're looking to get the front side mesh to the OTB. This is just, I don't know. I never learned this route. The cha-cha, I'm going to run over the ball. Shitty job there by somebody. Either it's a bad play design or it's, I don't know what they're trying to do. Or they're expecting man, so they're thinking triple mush, we'll get our rub route. Well, this is when this drop 8 shit becomes useful. Bank almost tips it to himself. All right, we got 3rd and 5, money down. Let's see how much time is left. It's 21-17, 4 minutes. I'm actually cooking tonight on time. I might finish early. 64 plays, and I might finish early, Kyle. Who is this guy?
It's like let Russ cook. I'm just getting out of your way.
I'm rolling right now.
You are on fire, brother.
All right, we got Joker here, but you got guys with their hands in the ground now. Again, does it matter? No. It's just pronounced. It's what you want to do. Kyle Van Noy is a better off-the-ball rusher. These guys want their hands in the ground. Oh, shit. This is street ball like times 10. I mean, I can just imagine Dorsey in the meeting. All right. I want you to look on your first read. So they get the 5-0 look. I'm going to watch this. I'm going to let this roll. I'm going to watch this whole thing. All right. He sees it's man. He's like, all right. That guy, watch out for that guy. That's not what he's saying. Okay, so now they look for the rail route. So they're running the same. They're running. Oh no, I'm sorry. He's running. I forget what the offensive guys call this route, where they come up and then break out. It's one of y'all in the chat. Sorry, I'm not as active in the chat tonight, guys. Did somebody send money?
Sam sent 13 in honor of
Oh
Dan
shit,
Marino.
man! I didn't even know that. I forgot because I did this like years ago. Dude, that's really nice, man. Thank you. I just saw. I was like, why did somebody just? And it's in yellow. I'm like, why does it say $13? Is that what he thinks I owe him for making him watch this shit? And then I clicked on it, and it's like, oh, thanks, man. That's really cool of you. When you repeat the plays, my hormones jump. Yes. I can't believe it's 9:45. We have 82 people here.
That's
all right.
dope.
Enough sniffing my own farts here. Let's roll. All right. So this is beautiful, man. This is really cool. It's a bill. What's that mean? It is a bill. Oh, he's saying it's a bill. Got it. I hope they're... All right. This is awesome. You got to have some guy with some shit to him to pull this off. So they're going to go 5-0. They're only rushing 4. They're balancing. This is just a straight rush, right? Nothing fancy. They're trying to get him to thinking it's 0. Remember, it's 3rd and 5. Keep this in mind. It's 3rd and 5. They're down by 4. 4 minutes left. Yeah, CO. Thank you. I thought that's what it was, but I didn't want to be wrong and look like a fool. This is awesome. Draw the guard. So they actually try and full slide this, and watch what happens. They're thinking, this is the chess man. My hormones are jumping. I'm ready to fucking go. Let's go. All right. I almost smashed something off my desk. Yep. Corner vert, especially if he's tight. If he's tight, they'll run the corner. I couldn't remember what they called. They have 9 different names for very similar routes. So in this play, so let's go back. He's like, all right. We think they're gonna blitz. We're sliding to him, or I guess. I mean, he's pointing right at him. We got a problem because now he's away from the back. So if we try this normal shit, he's going to run around unblocked. And the reason he's doing that, Kyle, and he's not just flipping the back is why? Because he's free releasing, and he's part of the route combination. So normally if this was 5-0, right, you would just say, go over here, right?
Right, add it on.
We're going to treat the 5 down. You block the edge guy, and let's ride. Okay? And this is where knowing the game and knowing how people respond to things can tell you what's going to happen. With this guy, and he waits. And Alan goes, oh shit. Hold on. All right. We got to slide to him. I mean, he's fucking pointing at him. We got to slide to him. Now, why else? You 5-0'd everything else you've ever had to do in this game. You 5-0'd everything. Now, all of a sudden, you're pushing the slide this way. Why? Because he's going to go run around. And he's probably salivating, thinking, I got Ingram on Singletary. Championship. Well, guess what happens? My man here doesn't go. And he rushes, and he punches, and then goes and covers. And Alan's like, oh, shit. Whoop. Oh, and he still gets the first down. That's the misery of all of that.
Jukes 29 out of his jock in the process.
That is the misery. That is the misery of all of that shit. As that at the end of the day, doesn't matter. All right, drop 8. Tampa red zone down here. Now they're in base personnel. The Bills go 21 personnel, and they're trying to get their shit off, which is actually, I think, a mistake because they invite Dolphins to now. Well, no, this is a play they get. They get in the 2nd and 1, so it's not a mistake. We talked about high-lowing the Tampa dropper. Okay, I know it's 3-by-1, but if you're gonna play drop 8 Tampa, that's your underneath hook player, right? If he's buzzing out, he's got to be more aggressive. Split flow, you should be right there because you have this and you have the ability of that. He's got body presence on this shit coming inside. He's got body presence on this coming inside. You want to park your ass right between these guys low so they have to go above you, and then he can break on it. You see that? Fellas, You may not think it's a big deal, but now, again, that's 9 yards. Now 2nd and 1. But the Dolphins are serious, and they don't score. The Bills go 21. The Dolphins go tilt 6-1, which if you followed me, you know that's one of my favorite things. Again, we talked about this. They can do this shit and play 4-3 defense against this stuff because corner, or I don't know if they're flipping or not. DB, they have the guys that can do this. You know, and also, let's be honest, if you're playing Kelsey, if you're playing a healthy Kittle, that's a different matchup here. You know, their tight end's all right, but he's not those guys, right? And the Dolphins just say, oh, yeah? Let's go. Let's ride. So now they're able to play heavier in the run game. So they get 4 yards, 2nd and 1. So the Bills are thinking, all right, we got this split zone. Let's see how they fit this. Sorry, I went too fast. I don't know what Wilkins goes inside. If that's going to happen with this slide guy coming back, he should come off the line. He sets the edge. I'm going to fall back. And I got to get my ass in here somewhere. Got to be more aggressive. All right. 1st and goal from the 2. I only got a few plays left, boys. Stacks over here. With that alignment, they're not going to do shit unless they try to bang a slant in here. We're in a gap 8 defense for all intents and purposes right now. They hand it off. There's no RPOs. Nothing they can do. Not a touchdown, buddy. Put your arms down. I feel like I don't know what I feel like. I'm getting my hair cut in a tropical place. I don't know what's going on. Now, this is a problem. He sees the ball handed off, but I'm automatically thinking we got to get some sort of delay play if you got that. 2nd and goal from the 1. I'm shitting my pants over here on my dirty illegal stream because apparently living 4 hours away from Miami means you can't get Dolphins games. Yeah, we live in a communist society.
Let's not get started on television availability for the games. Here's that Reed poll that we were talking about earlier that they came back to.
I believe 92 could have tackled the ball carrier and the cruise guy coming around.
Yeah.
That is what we call not great timing. Not great, Bob. Have any Mad Men fans in here? I'm so proud of how in time I am, man. I'm fucking killing this. Usually it's like 2 hours and 48 minutes, and I'm like, all right, we got 5 plays left. The Dolphins just play cover. They bring basically, if this guy blocks, it turns into triple rat. They're locking DB on the tight end, on the back, and then your edge rushers, you can either bring them and play 0. You could bring one of them to one side, and then bring this guy, and then these 2 play the back, or you could just have them play in here and help out and just be body presence. Look at my man
which you love for the athleticism that Allen has too, right? To kind of have a little bit more flexibility with your squatters, your rat guys, where if he does take off because he's been killing you, right?
Yeah. And I don't know if this was the primary reason the Dolphins did this, but it also helps with this big son bitch to have these 2 big ass. Oh no, misery. No, I don't know what happened. Leave. I'm in some sort of hell now. What just happened? No, I have one of these like stupid mice. Whatever
the
I clicked the side
or whatever.
button. I clicked the side button and it like sent me into a tailspin.
Seamless recovery though, just like your transition when we first started from the intro screen to the setup we got now. Seamless transition to get back.
Me yelling, "No, God, no, God, no!" Oh my God! All right, but you can see it with him up in here. They're gonna he's gonna leverage this thing to the flat. So now he can, because what's this guy gonna do? He's gonna go here, so I can take this, so I can look for something coming back. Nothing comes back, so all right, I'll go meet my guy. He sits back here, forces the ball. Should have been an interception. But it wasn't. We don't do adjusted scores here. Now they bring all 6 guys. Actually, no, I'm sorry. They bring one side, and he's slow playing it. So this is, I guess, the option where these guys are kind of watching him and let his ass go. And so now what happens is they gain a blocker, but they add an extra guy into the coverage. Now it doesn't matter because the ball goes out there. And that's where the rush affects it. And you know, he's as soon as he throws it.
Yeah.
Actually, what happens here? It's just the effect of 4 quarters of almost getting hit in the face. I mean, because he steps back and like noodle arms it, and he's got. I mean, the guy's there.
Yeah. So I think
let's watch the end zone.
I think it was accumulation of a couple of things where they're gassed at this point, right? I mean, this is play like 85 or 82 out of 90 that they played cumulatively.
Yeah, play 85.
I know Allen got his hand checked on the sideline, and then after the game actually went back, had x-rays done on his throwing hand. So at some point he had something that got banged on his throwing hand. So I know between fatigue and whatever was going on where they were checking it on the sideline, and then after the game he went back and got x-rays done. I think there was, but then again, like he one-hopped a throw just like this in the red zone against Tennessee the week prior. So yeah. I don't know if it's we're trying to hurry up the process and the feet aren't right. I don't know what it is, but I think a couple compounding variables that could have led to that one hop on there on 4th down.
Yeah, absolutely. And now you can see this is a repeat play. Kenny circled this for when he needed some yardage. They throw the corner out. Because they're not blitzing, the safety's got width. I can't believe I did that whole explanation and forgot to mention that. Oh, yeah, the corner's blitzing. And that's why it looked funky. But now the safety's wider. He's on better footing. He also has no threats, right? So he's got 2 vertical threats to his side. They're condensed, and this is where cover 2 is very helpful. Because we said we want to push this guy into the seam. We want to push this guy into the seam, right? Well, now they've just stood there. And where you really want to be at in cover 2, if you can. Now, the problem is because this guy's a Tampa dropper and this comes back across, he now adds himself into the equation. But let's just talk versus 2 receivers. What you want to do is it's 2 early in the down and it becomes palms later in the down. What do I mean by that? Or 2 read quarters. Right now, he takes the throw immediately away. They're right there on top of each other. So I'm going to take this away. I'm going to stay inside of 2. And as this goes down the field, I now go to play this, and I now go play him. Does that make sense? Late in the down. Now, because the ball comes out, you don't get this part of it, but that's where you want to get this guy sinking out of there. Especially because knowing the situation, and this is where I kind of got frustrated on this. And yeah, I know it was an incomplete pass, but it was close. You're up by 2 points. There's 1:25 left. The Bills don't have any timeouts, I believe, at this point. And you're sitting and chasing a 1-yard route. Not even. It's at the line of scrimmage. Like, get your ass deep. If they catch this and get out of the bounds and get 2 yards, who gives a shit? So if you're going to press and engage, get your ass out of there. That's too slow for me. There's no reason you need to do that.
I also feel like this being Xavier Howard, knowing his ball hawking skills, he's probably deliberately slow playing that to try to invite that throw with the expectation that he could probably undercut that.
And I know the quarterback's looking out there, but you have to have some savvy to be like, yeah, you can look out of here all you want, but it's a 1-yard play and you have no timeout. So get your 1-yard play. You're going to waste 9 seconds running this play. And now time is of the premium. Yards is 2, but not 2 yards.
You'll take that exchange all day long.
Yeah. Now the next play, they get 18 yards here. Same thing, Tampa. I mean, this is just
dead sprint to his left.
Yeah. Throw back across his body into traffic. Yeah. I was praying for a win here, but more so, I didn't want the butt punt to be the story.
Right.
Which it was, even though they didn't do anything with it, really. 5-0 look, slow playing. They're rushing 4. Cover 1 here. Playing 1 cross. Oh, okay. I was like, what is... I was looking at different parts of the field. And again, and this is my thing for guys that rush 4 people and have off ball. I mean, just watch 55 here and the benefits of this. What to this now? If this guy's an elite rusher, no, you don't want him in a 0. But my point is, watch this guard. He's wasted for the first 2 to 3. Now he comes back, but I'm saying if he was like in a, you know, if he was to make a move and get vertical or play in a loaded front or whatever, and that guy can't help, you know.
I feel like that's one of the hidden values of 55, Jerome Baker, who they've given a pretty significant contract to, but he's really good at forcing that commitment with his presence and the athleticism that he has to kind of give you those 2 stem steps and force the guard to commit and free up a one-on-one elsewhere before he's able to get out and still hit some landmarks over the middle of the field and drop out is one of his better qualities. And I'm glad that you've acknowledged it, because you could look at the stat sheet and say, hey, where are the impact plays? Well, it's 11 on 11, and they're manufacturing the kind of rush opportunities that they want with him because of what he's able to do.
Yeah. At a 7-yard completion, 3rd and 1 here. Nice little rubber out here, gets open. They get out of bounds. Now it's first and 10 from the 43. Now I'm sweating. After the highs of thinking we win the game, and you get the, you know, get Coach, that stop.
I was a train wreck right now in real time as this is unfolding. I was in a puddle on the floor.
I was actually surprised now at like how affected I was by the game, because I've sat on here for now a couple years and tweets and in podcasts, and I'm like, I'm really agnostic. I grew up loving the Dolphins, but I don't really feel. I was like a maniac. Hey, get 4 strong, and it's not really the back kind of chills, but you can see. They're running cover 1 with the 5-man pressure. The first time you see it all game. Actually, I may be wrong here. Did they bring 6?
$29, yeah.
They did, and I wonder if it's because they didn't think they would release him. Because this is dangerous right here. If this guy runs out here, who covers him? Maybe the edge guy.
I'd be willing to bet if that's 26 or James Cook and not Zach Moss, they probably choose to respect that a little bit differently.
100%, especially because he's filleted them. I really like this pressure. Oh, I'm an idiot. 4 strong look me from the defense. I'm like 4 strong, like not really. All right, so you get a twist here. This is what really screws it up. And you have this off the edge. They got nobody for him. They push the pocket with the stunt, pushes the pocket. I don't want to go on a tirade about the Hurricanes, but it makes me sad to watch. This is Jalen Phillips, right?
It is.
I'm tired of watching Hurricanes who come in as these touted prospects, do diddly dick in Miami. I know he did well and whatever, but he wasn't this guy. And then watch him go flourish in the NFL. Like, how many more years do I have to suffer this?
Comfortably his best game of the season for Jalen. I think they're really getting the timing down with some of the new pieces. He really hit his stride in the back half of last year after kind of getting a feel for the timing of the stunts and the twists and the games that they play inside. And this with the new pieces that they have, it feels like he's hitting that stride earlier, but this was the game where he really made his presence felt with some of these loops and games inside.
So the Dolphins call 1 cross again. Next to last play. Oh my God. Oh, I went over. It's 10:04. So close. Yeah, I mean, they're not respecting 20. They're putting a mugged guy up on him. And I know they did it that one play as like a change up, but like with this cut split, I'm telling you right now, defensive coordinators, when they play teams that use different backs that are very different, like in what they do. They'll call 11, and then 11 means 26 is running back, or they'll call 11-20, or they'll call him because he's bigger, maybe 11 heavy or 11 hammer. They'll have some way to delineate. There's a difference. Like some people like 20 personnel, if it's a fullback and a running back, Whoa, why is this stop? Oh, that was very strange. Oh, what's happening? What is happening? Oh my God, mouse is freaking out. What is going on? My things just stuck down.
We got past 10 o'clock and things just go haywire.
This is really strange. It's making me now. It's doing it every other time. Okay. If it's 2 tailbacks, she'll say, "Oh, it's 20, 20 pony or 20 light or whatever." But they'll actually say, "Hey, it's 11 and he's in the game. 20's in the game." And you change your menu there. You can do shit like this. Oh, I'm going to cover him after I grab the guard. Because they're not going to run a wheel route with him.
Right.
The 5-0 look. They call holding here, I believe. It's now 2nd and 20. 18 seconds. Oh, we don't get the last attempted snap, or do we? No, I don't have that.
This is the last play. They don't get a spike from here.
Yeah, but he tried to spike it, right? Like they got up to the line and they tried to do it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't. I don't have that. They didn't provide that in the shot. All right, last play. You got Tampa here, 2nd and 20. You don't want to get too crazy because it is the NFL and you got an NFL kicker, so you're not going to play. It's a 2-point game, so you're not going to play prevent. You're not going to play Hail Mary defense. So this is why it's important to have. You have your 2-minute calls, but you also want your 2-minute calls like need a field goal, need a touchdown. Because I guarantee you one thing. They're not going to be in freaking drop 8 Tampa if they need a touchdown. They're not going to have the corners sitting in the flats. They're going to put everybody deep. The game's all about situations, right? I mean, these guys are guarding the out. I mean, look at these corners. They're playing the outs. Tell you what, need him to have a good game. I mean, for having to go against Diggs sometimes, he didn't stand out as getting roasted or anything.
What's interesting about that is he was actually removed against Baltimore for in favor of the UDFA we mentioned earlier, Cater Kohu.
Look at the transition.
Yes. Smooth like butter.
It was
so Boyer mentioned that was kind of athletic profile mismatch type stuff, and Needham presented himself very well in the opportunities he had against Gabe Davis, the other wide receiver there, in addition to some of the zone opportunities got against Diggs.
That's interesting. The NFL is very strange with that. Some guys will play left and right no matter what, and then it doesn't matter who's out there. And Well, all right. So where do we go from here? What are your thoughts on the rest of the year? I know you said you could take a playoff game, but with the small sample size that we have, where do you see the Dolphins? Where do you see the Dolphins going, and what would you say they need to improve on defense?
Yeah, I think coming into the year, my expectation was 10 or 11 wins for Miami, and that was kind of with the expectation of a 2-2 or 3-2 start over the first 5 games of the season. So they have the potential to kind of get ahead of schedule a little bit, but the heart of their schedule is much softer than what the early gauntlet has been when you take teams that you're perceiving to be AFC playoff contenders. And I still think that menu of probably 11 wins or so is on the table for Miami. They got to get the run game humming on the offensive side of the ball to be more consistent, but defensively, really excited to see what changes when Byron Jones comes back, because that is such a cornerstone identity of what the defensive personnel was, to have Xavier Howard and Byron Jones, and the trust that you have in those two guys to play outside and kind of change the math as far as everything else outside of the perimeter. So that for me, and their ability to continue to match personnel when they get another elite athlete back at corner is something I'm really excited to see. The biggest thing as far as improvements is, and you saw it in this game, I think they were charted as having 16 missed tackles. Just tackling better in open space, I think, is something that could really help prevent them from having 41 minutes of time of possession where you're out there defensively for 92 plays or whatever ended up being. Like, I thought there were some open field opportunities that kind of betrayed them, but it's hard to fault them too much in this game because, the Bills are one of the best rosters in the NFL. They're super deep. And I think if they played any other quarterback other than maybe 2 or 3 across the league, they forced 3 turnovers. They probably have a few strip sacks. They definitely finish more of those opportunities in the pocket. So I want to see them lean into this pressure and really bring this week in and week out. And I think it'll help them be able to do that when they do get Byron Jones back on the menu for them off the physically unable to perform list.
Yeah, man, I was stunned how well they did against, because that first drive or two, I was like, oh,
yeah,
but those are your scripted plays, and those are the plays that you spend time on all your plays, but those are the plays that you've chosen to start the game with to set a tone for the rest of the game, or to see. Sometimes it's just, how are they going to adjust to this?
Right.
We're going to throw some bullshit play out there. One of our bread and butters. How are they going to align this formation? Are they going to kill it? Is there anything they don't like? And you're poking and prodding. And they went down the field pretty quickly on I believe the first drive. I mean, it was pretty seamless.
Yeah. This was the 8th consecutive game.
Drive?
It was the 8th consecutive game in which the Bills' opening drive ended in a touchdown. So their opening scripts, whether it was Brian Dable last year or now with Coach Ken Dorsey this year, their opening scripts have been very, very, very good every single game that they've taken the field lately.
Yeah. And so was it the second series they got the sack fumble, or was it the third series?
It was the second series that they got the sack fumble, and that tied it at 7. And then Buffalo went back down on the field with one of the other long sustained drives to go up 14-7 on the third possession.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me, man. I had a blast as always. I think we found our winner. I got to get a different background because my face kept going in and out, but who gives a shit? You guys aren't here to look at right now it's getting crazy. I go down and then I go back. I come into focus, but I think we found a winner in terms of streaming. I think my computer with StreamYard, we get a little music. I just tried out the music tonight. We'll have different music next week. I enjoyed it. The stream was smooth on my end. I mean,
frame rate was great on my end too. I know usually with these things, when you're sharing screens, you never really know what you're going to get, but frame rate was excellent from my end of things. So highly recommend, so that we get some great content for me going forward with all your
awesome guests, well, couldn't do it without guys like you. So thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. And I will see you next week, guys. Also, if you wouldn't mind, I don't usually ask for a lot. Keep us in your thoughts. It's a scary time right now for people that live around me, and we're about to get hammered. So just send out some positive vibes. If you're a praying type of person, send some prayers. If you're a positive guy, positive vibes type of guy or gal, we take those too. So we appreciate you so much. And hopefully I will see you next Tuesday. I mean, that sounds ominous. We'll see you next Tuesday, unless we have some sort of power issue, which could very well happen.
Coach, stay safe.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.